Hello. Um, I've had a lot of questions about potty training. I get emails about it and comments, and I know I've covered the topic of potty training Craig in the past on some videos. I've never gone into great depth because it took me a while to go through all my notes and remember what we did. I was looking on the internet today and I found a really good article on potty training a child with autism. And a lot of the things actually we did with Craig. I got a lot of advice from Craig's preschool teachers, and I also was on a board called PSP, and I can't remember what that stood for, but back when Craig was 3, 4 years old, there wasn't a lot of support groups for parents of children with autism, but there was a chat room that I found at that time, and I got a lot of good advice from other parents. So I thought I would start reading you what I found. It's from the National Autistic Society, and I feel like it's a very good guide to beginning potty training. And first of all, the question is, when do you start potty training? And it gives some questions, some points. If your child has begun to become aware of needing the toilet. If you notice changes in behavior problems, such as appearing distracted or fidgeting when they're wet or they're soiled. If they let you know that they need their diaper changed. If you have observed your child is aware of when they have started and finished weeing or pooing, that's how they put it. Has your child shown any interest in using, or have they used the toilet themselves without being prompted? And can your child avoid having a wee or poo accident for 1 or 2 hours? In other words, do they have improved bladder control? Then it's probably time to start trying to potty train them. Honestly, I don't remember if Craig showed any of these signs. I just know that after he turned 3 and was getting towards 4, naturally you start kind of panicking, like, how am I ever going to do this? Because honestly, until Craig was probably close to 4, we didn't have that good of communication with him. I mean, he was telling us things at that time, but as far as the back and forth to get him to understand why he needed to go on the potty, they say, it is rare for an autistic child to have the social motivation to want to be like mommy, daddy, brother, sister, or a friend and use the toilet. After having used diapers for so many years, your child might not see the point of using the toilet. So it's important to remember that all children are different and they will all respond to different teaching techniques. That was a big stumbling block for me. Somehow I thought I was going to find a magical guide to potty training a child with autism, and I'm here to tell you there's not one. It's kind of a process of trial and error and having a good team. Craig's preschool teachers helped me a lot, giving me direction and ideas, and just not feeling alone about it. Children on the spectrum often like routine. You could build upon this desire for predictability to develop a successful toilet training routine. When changing your child's diaper, do this where the toilet is so that they can start relating toileting activities with the bathroom. I thought that was a great idea. Your child may behave differently than normal when their routine is changed. So make sure that all their caregivers, their preschool teachers, who's ever involved in their life knows what is going on. Make sure everyone's on the same page. Make sure you're sending extra clothing to preschool, and wipes, all the tools that they will need. If you're using a seat to put on your potty to help them sit on it better, make sure that they have all of those items at preschool too, to help your child learn the potty. the preschool is actually the one that advised me to start sending Craig to school with underwear and no diaper. And in doing that, though I don't think he ever went to potty at preschool before he did at home, we did learn that Craig would not go to the bathroom in his underwear. He wanted a diaper. So we learned that, and we continued that, and Craig never had an accident at preschool. So when he got home, first of all, I read about a technique, and they actually talk about it in here too, that you start cutting away a little bit of the diaper bit by bit until there's no part of the diaper on the bottom, because the theory is that that feeling of the diaper around their waist is like a security, and they're used to going potty with that on, and they're afraid to go potty without it. Well, I tried that, and that particular method did not work for us. But we kept on sending Craig to school in underwear, and he kept coming home dry. So eventually what I did was, when he got home, I wouldn't let him have the diaper, and he wanted it. He would beg for it and cry for it, and it was very hard. I mean, it felt like I was being cruel, but I knew that it was the only way that Craig was going to learn. And I did start getting him to sit on the potty by telling him that we learned the phrase first and then. So he learned that first he would sit on the potty, and then he would get a Pringle. That worked to get him on the potty, but it didn't work to get him to actually pee on the potty. But at least we got him on the potty. So eventually, through him coming home and me not giving him a diaper and not giving in, because I gave in numerous times, believe me, because that is very hard to watch. Eventually, I got strong enough to not give him the diaper, and he actually sat on the potty, on the toilet, and went potty. And believe me, that was a big day in our house. I actually found that in my notes in the journal that I kept. That I can't remember what the day was, but it was like on September 24th, 1996, Craig Vanderveer peed on the potty. And that was a pretty big day in our house. And I'll never forget, because I had told Craig if he peed on the potty, we'd go to Dollar General, which he loved to go to Dollar General. And as soon as he peed on the potty, Stephanie started cheering, "We're going to Dollar Tree." She was just as excited about Craig peeing on the potty as I was, maybe for a different reason. They also suggest in this article to not use one of those little potties, but to always start them out on a regular toilet. Even if you maybe want to use one of those adapters you put on it so the seat gets smaller for them. The thought being, you don't want to get them started with that little potty and then have to change them to the big toilet. And that makes a lot of sense. We never had a little potty, I guess, so we didn't even think of that. And Craig was 4, so he was big enough to sit on a regular toilet by then. But I thought that made a lot of sense. And then, of course, this also tells you observe your child so that you can tell if there's any signs to tell you that they need to use the bathroom. And then from those observations, if they wet themselves at another time, take them to the toilet as quickly as possible and try to get some of the pee to go into the toilet. Ignore the wetting and positively reinforce that the pee has gone into the toilet, and continue with the rest of the toileting routine. And they suggest starting the routine to include hand washing. So, because they're saying that children on the spectrum like routine. So the more of a routine you make it, the more appealing it may be to them. So start them right off with using the restroom, and then afterwards teaching them all the steps to washing their hands. And also pulling up their trousers. If it's a boy, they said start with, if they can't already do that themselves, start with just bringing the pants up to their hips and then having them pull it up to their waist the rest of the way. And after they have achieved that step, start it at their knees and have them pull it up to their hips and then their waist. That made a lot of sense to me too, breaking it down into steps. Because you not only want them to learn to use the potty, you want them to learn all of the steps. And honestly, I don't know. I don't remember seeing them cover in here cleaning up after themselves after they went. And I've had people ask me, like, does Craig know how to wipe after he goes to the bathroom? Yes, he does. We learned that a long time ago, but I don't think we learned it until maybe like middle school. At least we had to assist him to make sure that he got clean. But rest assured, now that he's an adult, Craig can do all of those things by himself. And I know that he's been doing it at least since he began high school, probably before that. I really can't remember exactly when. But he did have trouble for a while getting himself clean enough, so we had to watch that for a while. And then there's the issue with boys. Do you teach them to sit or to stand when they're urinating? And here's their advice. When deciding whether to teach a boy to sit or stand to urinate, ask yourself the following questions. Can they distinguish between when they pee and when they poo? Do they have the coordination and the focus to control the needed aim? If they learn by imitation, is there someone that they can watch? If the answer is yes, then they are probably able to start to stand to urinate. To start teaching them to aim, it can be useful to put a piece of cereal, preferably a cereal that they don't eat so it doesn't confuse them, in the toilet so that they have something to aim for. Or you can also purchase fun Target stickers online, it said. And that's a part that I think I'm going to bring Joe in and talk about that, because honestly, I don't remember. I'm pretty sure, I know when I taught him to sit on the potty at first. I can't remember when we started teaching him to stand, but I know that he does. So I'll bring Joe in on that part. He's not in the room right now because he said, I don't want to just sit there and not know what to say while you're going through all this. Because pretty much the potty training, most of it was all me because Joe was at work during that time and I stayed home with Craig. So it was really me and the preschool teachers.
As far as standing and sitting, I don't have a lot of recollection on that. I do recall it was probably in high school is when he started to stand. And I think it was probably because some of the other boys in their class
were
standing.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, Craig, and I think they probably Craig, you need to stand. You don't have to sit on the toilet, and it probably like.
The teachers may have suggested it to us. I don't remember.
Yeah. The problem with that, especially now is Craig's always wore like athletic shorts or athletic pants. And when he stands, of course, in a house, you don't have a urinal. So when he goes to the bathroom, he just drops his drawers to his ankles. And so I've told him he can't use a urinal in public. You wait until, and that is one of the things that we started working on a little bit, and then I kind of dropped the ball on that. It was my fault. That I was going to try to teach him how to, just do like a quarter pull with that to where he could go to the bathroom. My main concern with that is if he would dribble on himself or
He's
something.
best just to go in a stall.
Yeah. So that's what I do. I've got him very well trained, and he understands that when he goes in, if there's not a stall available, you either come back out to me or you wait for a stall to become available. And it helped our last trip. About every time we went into a restroom in the airports, there was always like one or two people who were waiting for a stall. So I said, oh, no, Craig, see, you can see we got guys over here. You got to wait your turn.
And whenever possible, someone goes in with Craig.
Yeah, yeah. When I'm with him, I almost always go in unless I know small businesses and I know it's just
Right.
a one,
If you know there's no one in there.
one restroom and you lock the door behind you, which I have tried. He doesn't lock the door most of the time.
Yeah,
So,
we had to go through a lot. I mean, I had to teach him to shut the door. I remember one time at the dentist office, the bathroom was across the room, and someone came out and told me, you need to tell him to shut the door when he goes to the bathroom. I had no idea. He just left the door open. So some things you just have to become. Yeah, he doesn't at home. I had no idea he would do that there.
Yeah.
Maybe he didn't have it all the way shut. I mean, I didn't see what happened. Yeah. So anyway, that is kind of a big part of it. And you have to, I guess, Parents Day maybe have the advantage of having all of this information available so that you think of these things. Honestly, we didn't really have anything available to us at that time, so we didn't think of all these things that would come up. We were just kind of flying by the seat of our pants, I would say. You know, you just, I would get some information from other people and try it and see what worked. And finally, we got it accomplished. They talk about some other things, but because of time, I'm not going to go into those. But if you have any further questions about anything else, let me know and we'll cover some more of this. I did get it from, let me read that again.
This isn't my mug. I stole this from Nancy because, I mean, look at my hand. This thing's humongous.
Yeah, we like big mugs.
It can hold half of a pot of coffee.
And Joe wore his
it's a new
formal t-shirt tonight with the bow tie.
Here, wait, see if I can get it right. Yeah, like that. And, yeah, the original Fab Four. Everybody knows those guys. Who are they?
The Dapper Dans.
Ah, there you go.
It took me a minute. Like, wait.
Yeah, the Dapper Dans. I love those guys. You know, and at Halloween time they do what do they call it? The Dead Dans or
no,
it's not right. Anyway, they're dressed up like they're ghouls, you know.
Yeah.
And they sing, you know, Grim and Ghosts and all that stuff. So
that's what drives me crazy not being able to think of that. But I did get all of this information from a site called the National Autistic Society. So if you're looking for information on toilet training, I think this was a really good resource. I advise you to look this up. It pretty much uses a lot of the things that we did. And again, all kids are different. Something different will probably, your child won't be the same as Craig. Some are easier than others. It really helped though to have Craig's teachers on board with this, helping me, because it is a very lonely feeling because there's probably more mothers dealing with this now than there was when Craig was 4.
Oh, yeah.
But, you know, you just don't know a lot of other parents that are trying to teach an autistic child to use the potty. I think that's all I have to say about that. I did want to do a specific video on it because I know there are a lot of parents that are in the same situation we were, where you're just lost and you have no idea how you're going to teach a child that doesn't really understand the concept, how to use the potty. But it can be done. You have to persevere. And a lot of my correspondence, I wrote about that. I'm going to be strong. I'm going to persevere. We're going to get this done. And finally, that's what it took. I had to not give in. So I think that's all I'm going to say about that tonight, as this video is getting a little long. But if you have any questions, feel free to email me at ourdailyview1992@gmail.com. And if you're new to the channel, we have a son named Craig that's 31 years old now. We have a lot of videos with him in it. He is what I would call not high functioning. I would call him right in the middle, to where he can do a lot of things by himself, but he's not able to live on his own independently. But watch our videos and you can get to know Craig.
Yeah, you'll know where his highs are and where his lows are.
I'm Nancy, and this is Joe, and we will see you all later. Bye.
Peace.